All right, welcome to the Tennis.com podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nina Pantic, joined as always with Irina Falcone.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Our special guest is WTA pro Sachia Vickery. Sachia, welcome.
Hey guys.
It's awesome to have you here. You're just 25 years old. You've been ranked as high as number 73, currently around 158, winner of 3 ITF titles. And, you know, you've been sounding off a lot on Twitter. You've been active on Instagram. We have a lot of stuff we want to cover with you. But first of all, Where in the world are you and how has the shutdown been for you?
I'm actually at home in Boca Raton, Florida right now. And it's been really nice. I've gotten to spend time with my family. But I'm kind of at that point where I'm ready to get back out there playing and, you know, practicing normal again. I love being home, which is such a great change. But I've just been trying to train as much as I can. Just hit with some girls that are in the area, and that's pretty much it.
Do you have a coach right now that you're kind of working with? Is it one of those things that you're slowly getting back into practice mode, or have you already been practicing a lot?
Yeah, I have a coach I work with. He's French and he's come down here to work with me all the time. And yeah, I've just been slowly getting back into it. I played a couple of exhibitions in Atlanta last month, so I got to kind of, you know, play and have a feel for where I was and be on court again and play matches. So I've just been doing that.
Was it wild without any fans and stuff like that? What's the restrictions the same as kind of what we're expecting, you know, from upcoming tournaments?
Yeah, I think it's exactly the same. It was really weird, and it just felt like I was literally playing a practice match, which is what it was. It was, you know, very weird. And there was this one umpire, but he was sitting super far away. We couldn't really come that close to each other. We were sitting on opposite sides. So I did kind of get a feel like what it will be in the tournaments coming up, and it was definitely a little strange.
So one of the things that I've noticed with a few players and is their motivation level can kind of go like this. And during the quarantine, it's just been up and down. You know, I feel like we've been told 2 months, 2 months from now, 2 months from now.
Yeah.
What's your motivation been like for the last couple months?
Yeah, well, in general, my motivation is a little bit up and down with the hecticness of the tour, just in general. But for the past few months, yeah, I think the hardest part was just, you know, knowing how much I should train, like how much I should do, if I should maybe do less because then I'll be more fresh when I start playing again, or do more, then I'll be, you know, in super good shape. So it's just finding the balance between that. But with no exact kind of start date and no calendar, it's just up in the air. So I'm just doing the best I can, just like everybody is, I'm sure.
There's been so many announcements about the tours coming back in August, and the U.S. Open has gotten some flack because there's not going to be a qualifying event, at least as of now in June. Everything is changing by the day. But the initial plan is no qualifying. What was your reaction? Because it's kind of grossly unfair.
Yeah, no, I'll just speak really freely. I'll just say I think it was a total slap in the face to so many players who depend on playing a slam, and you know that really depend on that, you know, the competition and the prize money, and you know everybody's been going through this rough time. But I just feel like prioritizing the top players, which of course they deserve to be there, they deserve to play these tournaments. But I just feel it was just really a hard blow for the players that work so hard to be in qualies, and they really depend on that time of the year for a lot in their career. So I personally think it's a little bit unfair. And I think now I read something where they're allowed to bring 2 or 3 people with them. So that potentially could have been an entire qualies draw if you would have just cut back by 1 person each player. So, you know, I don't really agree with it. And I think definitely a little bit more could have been done for the lower ranked players.
I've also been hearing a few people talk about how qualifiers are still, if you would have been in qualies, you're actually going to get a check.
Yeah.
So yeah. What's the amount? Do you know the amount of that check?
So I think like the first round qualifying, it's normally maybe 10,500, somewhere around that range. But I've also read stuff where maybe if we don't play, they may give us some of the prize money. I'm not really sure how it's going to be. I've just been reading, you know, the WT updates that they email us every week. So I think that's the amount, but I'm not really sure about the specifics or what they're planning to do.
From a personal level, just I'm curious, how excited are you to go back on the tour, knowing that, there's going to be not only changes
Mhm.
day in and day out, but just having the US Open be like, actually no qualifiers. And then the French Open, I think there will be qualifiers. And
Yeah.
we still don't know really an ITF calendar. How are
Yeah.
you excited to go back, or just part of you is just like, what the heck is happening?
I think, yeah, it's a little bit of mix of both. I am excited to get back playing, but like I said earlier, it's just we just have no direction really. I don't know, like there's no ITF calendar, so I don't know if I can start with the lower level tournaments and then play French Open, or if there'll be a warm up, or I don't know what's gonna happen. But I think the WTA, they have been doing a good job, trying their best to manage everything. But I think one thing that they've kind of lacked was updating the players with things going on. Like I feel like they've been very favorable to the higher ranked players, and they get information a lot quicker than we do. Like I had to read somewhere on somebody's tweet that there wasn't going to be a qualies, before we even got emails. So a lot of people they start planning for that. People need time to plan and prepare, to arrange with their coaches, book things. So I think that's one part where definitely they should try and do a little bit better.
It's certainly a hard challenge. I felt from the beginning when they initially canceled the tour, the return would be really hard to figure out and make it fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. It's an impossible ask, but I especially, I'm not entertained, but it's
Mm-hmm.
drawing my attention that certain top players are like, oh, playing without fans is going to be impossible. I'm like,
Yeah.
50Ks, 25Ks. First, you get to
play.
play, and most smaller tournaments, even
Yeah.
from college and juniors and low-level pro tournaments, there's like your mom and your dad and like four
There's no
fans.
one. Yeah.
It's just the reality of tennis. Like, I don't think that's an issue, but the US Open without fans is weird.
Yeah, no, it is. And I took a little bit of heat on Twitter because I tweeted something. I think Djokovic, he made a statement saying that the conditions were really extreme. And I was like, well, I mean, normally those top players, they travel with a whole entourage of 5, 6 people. Like if you can just literally cut from like 6 to 3, I don't see what's that extreme about it. And, at least at least the qualifying, they'll get to play, at least they'll get to play doubles. There's a lot of doubles players who, again, they don't make a lot of money during the year, and they depend on playing the slams for ranking points and prize money. I understand, it's a difficult moment and they're just trying to figure out, the right steps. Nothing like this has ever happened before, but I think there has to be a level of, informing these people and giving them accurate information.
If it was a dream world kind of where you were able to maneuver how everything was going to look like, what would you have it be?
Yeah, I personally don't think, I don't have a problem with playing in front of fans. I've grown up playing in ITF events and lower level events, so it's something I'm used to. Maybe the top players, maybe a little bit strange for them, but I think they, it's tough to say what they could do or do differently, but I definitely think they could have made more of an effort to say, hey, at least, okay, why don't, with the original plan, why don't the top players just have one person with them in the main draw, and then in that way that leaves enough room for more people to compete. I think that would have been a very easy solution. Or worst case, maybe divide the qualies and the main draw, maybe have the qualifying somewhere else nearby, and set it up like that. That would have been something else if they were concerned about the amount of people that would be in the same area. But like I said, it's tough to say. I know everybody's doing their best, but it's tough for everybody. So.
Where were you at in terms of like how you're feeling on the court and your career in 2020 when everything stopped in March? Because I know you're ranked in the 150s.
Yeah.
So, obviously very good, but how were you feeling at that moment and kind of going into this year, imagining that none of this had happened?
Yeah, I actually had a very good start to the year. I tried a different schedule approach and I played some lower level tournaments. And I did really good in Asia. I made a few semis and I made a final of a 60 in Australia. So I was really starting to build a lot of momentum after I was injured last year. I had some tears in my knees and a few other minor things, but I was really starting to feel a lot of momentum and I was starting to get back in that match rhythm, getting used to playing every week. So of course it was really weird when, in Indian Wells, basically everything was a halt and we just had to book a flight home and obviously with the months off, it's difficult, but I've still tried to stay in shape. I still keep up with my practice and my fitness. So it's just managing everything.
So from a personal level, I know that you became a homeowner last year. Is that right?
Yes, I did. I bought a house in Boca.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's not easy to be like, yeah, I'm 25, I'm a homeowner, so that's
Yeah.
amazing. So what's that been like? I mean, do you feel like you're an adult now? Like, have you
Yeah.
like gotten to that point where you're like, oh my gosh, I got to pay for pest control? Like, what?
Yeah, right. No, in the beginning, it was actually, I feel like I had like this whole fairy tale in my head, like, oh, it's just gonna be so awesome. Like I'm gonna live on my own. I'm gonna do whatever I want, but I moved in and it was a little bit weird. And I had, I had to start doing everything because normally I'm just like, oh, here, mom, like, can you just do this for me? Here, can you pay this for me? And I had to start doing all this stuff by myself, but which is fine because I love it. I love being on my own. And that was definitely a big step for me after years and years of hard work to finally be able to invest into something in my future. So, of course I was going to do it. And it's been the best thing for me so far. So I'm really happy.
Hey guys, you're listening to the Tennis.com podcast with special guest Sasha Vickery. She's telling us how she's using her social platforms to raise awareness. Keep listening.
So speaking of investing in your future, I mean, a lot of players that we've talked to have like taken classes. They've tried to get into other things that are related to tennis or not related to tennis. During this quarantine, have you found anything that kind of excites you? Any hobbies, any new things that you've like, oh my gosh, I'm really good at this, or I really love doing this?
Yeah, no, I've actually, I've been learning languages a bit. I'm pretty good at French. My dad is French, so I'm like maybe half fluent. So I've been trying to sharpen my French a lot. I've been studying. I've been doing Rosetta Stone. I've been cooking a lot. I have this whole like amazing kitchen, and I'm like, I'm never home, and I never get to try anything. So I was like, I'll just try to start cooking and try making some stuff. And I've actually kind of perfected it at this point because it's all I've been doing for the past couple of months. So it's been nice to just do other things and be normal for a little bit.
You can say you've padded up your resume because I want to give you credit. You're one of the first people in March to post your resume on social media to be like, yo, I'm seeking jobs, hire me.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, you did it in a funny way, but it was also kind of dark. Like this was real.
Yeah, no, low key, I was 100% serious. Like if anybody messaged me, like I would have been doing lessons. I would have been, I don't care, feeding somebody, doing drills. I didn't care. I was a little bit serious in that post, but it did take a while for it to really hit me. I think it was like in May where I was like, wow, like we really just don't have a job. Like we're just here trying to do the best we can, but we're literally unemployed. And that's like just the fact of it. Everybody's going through the same thing. But I feel in the beginning, it was kind of like, I didn't know, the seriousness of everything. So I was like, oh, it's fine. Like we'll be back playing by April and, clay court season. I couldn't anticipate it, it would have been starting back at US Open. So I think that was kind of the weird thing. But I mean, I guess the most important is everybody, their safety and, just staying healthy.
So did you actually get anyone that reached out to you and was like, hey, I'd love a lesson from you?
Yeah, I got one guy. I have a lesson with him tomorrow. He lives in the area, and my best friend who doesn't play anymore. She was like, oh, like if you're really serious about the lessons, I have an older guy. He just wants someone to hit with. So I was like, I'm not working, I'm not making money, so bring him on. Like anybody else, like I'm down. After my practice, I stay and I hit with them for an hour and so at least I'm finding more things to fill out my day and at least make some kind of money.
Have you enjoyed hitting with these people? I mean, it's probably something that you're not used to, so have you enjoyed it?
No, I have. Like, it's just different. Like, I'm just on court and I'm just relaxed. And, these people, they're just so happy to hit with me. And I'm like happy that I'm actually like relaxed and being able to play. And I've been having so much fun. I've been having a ball. And I think, and even last week, I did a Zoom call there's basically like a gay tennis league, and they've like built this kind of, it's a legit like league. And I reached out to, one of the members, they reached out to me. They were like, it'd be so cool if you could do a Zoom call and if one of us can hit with you one day. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And I actually went on the Zoom and I hit with one of the guys every other day. So it's been really fun.
That's awesome.
I love hearing that though. Like the open-mindedness of players is something that's not celebrated enough because, it's that's something really nice that you did out of your own schedule and you put time out there for someone on the court too. That's work for you. That's like payable hours.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've always been a big advocate for that kind of stuff. And and I was just more than happy to do it. So I've something actually on Twitter and Instagram. Anybody that follows me, they know I constantly post things about Gay Pride Month and Black Lives Matter movement. I'm very into that kind of stuff and just learning about everybody. And yeah, it's something I'm just really into.
You have been especially vocal. I think it's really impressive that during this time, not even during this time, in general, players have really used their social platforms to speak out about everything, be it the scheduling or be it the Black Lives Matter movement. You posted a video with your neighbor, Betty, and it was one of the most, I thought the most effective, because it was so, I mean, you really just, you laid it out.
Check your privilege edition. Put a finger down if you have been called a racial slur. Put a finger down if you've been followed in a store unnecessarily. Put a finger down if someone has crossed the street to avoid passing you. Put a finger down if you've had someone clench their purse in an elevator with you. Put a finger down if you've had someone step off of an elevator to keep from riding with you. Put a finger down if you've been accused of not being able to afford something expensive. Put a finger down if you have had fear in your heart when being stopped by the police. Put a finger down if you have never been given a pass on a citation that you deserved. Put a finger down if you have been stopped or detained by police for no valid reason. Put a finger down if you have been bullied solely because of your race. Put a finger down if you have been denied service solely because of the color of your skin. Put a finger down if you've ever had to teach your child how not to get killed by the police. Any fingers left? That's privilege.
How did you set this video up? She really your neighbor?
No.
She lives next door?
Yeah, she literally lives next door. We're like best friends. Like we cook together, we like bake together. She's awesome. She's like 85. She loves tennis. So yeah, one day I was over there and she was drinking tea and we were watching a show, and I was like, why don't we, I was like, maybe there's something I can do or something that I can post that'll kind of make it easier for everyone to kind of understand, what's going on, because I've gotten a lot of people reach out to me, and even some of my closest friends, they're like, we really just want to know, like, what is it like to experience these kind of things? What is it like, to have to go through this? And after like kind of explaining, I was like, maybe there's just a video that I can do that will just make it really simple. And I did it, and people loved it. And it was really nice of her to do it. But it was, so it was really cool.
Speaking about things that you care about and being an advocate for, I mean, I think that video was very, like Nina said, it's very effective because it's real. And I think people really can understand more when someone speaks about a personal experience.
Exactly.
So in this case, I mean, is there any personal experience that you'd like to share with us, with fans, that people just should know about you, or should? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, growing up, I've always, whether it's online or even, just in my life, I've experienced a lot of discrimination. I've been kicked off courts before and told like I don't belong here and I shouldn't be playing here. That actually happened really recently. And even from when I was younger, I get super racist comments online, but luckily, everybody's different, and I have a very thick skin, so I can, it doesn't really bother me. And I, in a way, I just find it kind of laughable, like sometimes I'll finish a match and I have these paragraphs from, people just basically saying how much they hate me. And it's really sad because, some people, they really struggle with that, and it's hurtful, as much as strong as you try to be, and, as much as you try to ignore it, it is hurtful. It's hurtful. And I honestly, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of learned to just, it's just something that I'm going to have to deal with. And that's why I try to post as much as I can to try to get people, I have white friends who literally were like, is there something like you can just send to me like every day? Like, so maybe I can just see more of what you're talking about. So really, I just try to use any platform I have to bring more positive outlook to that kind of stuff.
The fact that you are able to laugh about it and it's just like, water off a duck, like it just seems like you're just very mature and you have thick skin, like you said.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that probably doesn't have as thick skin as you, or someone that is affected by it? What advice would you tell them?
I would honestly just say, like, just try to avoid it as much as you can. I know, I'm not saying you just have to like hide and run away from it, but I think I think it can really start to affect you, you know, when you sit there and you sit on the social media and you just read all the comments. And but yeah, I've done it. And I would probably just say to, you know, just really just try not to give as much attention to it if you're somebody that really struggles personally with those kind of things. But that's the best I can say. But everybody's different, you know. Some people they can hide from it completely. Some people they want to be more upfront about it. So I guess it just depends on the person. But you know, I would just say not to stress yourself out too much about it. You know, there's good and bad in everyone, no matter what race you are, it doesn't matter. There's good and bad in everyone. So
I still think it's brave to put yourself out there in any way that you've been doing it. You've been making certain social media, obviously, on the platforms and stuff. But you also talked about how it would be brave for a tennis player to take a knee. And I want to know what that would mean to you if someone, I think you maybe met someone high profile. What would it mean to you if someone was to take a stance, a public stance that big at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody has different feelings about it. I have some friends who say that they don't believe that that's the right way. And, you know, I have some friends that say, you know, well, there's a lot of things that have been going on where for, you know, years and years and years, and people get to a point where they're like, where does it end? You know, what do we have to do? You know, when we're silent, you know, nothing's getting done. When we try to protest peacefully, nothing's getting done. So I really think if maybe one kind of high profile player was to just, you know, be brave enough to accept that, and I'm not saying they even have to do it or not, but even just acknowledging it more than anything, or just bringing awareness to it, I think that'll really make a big difference, because they have such a big platform and they have such a powerful voice. And like you said, over the past few weeks, I've seen a lot of people actually, even some friends of mine that I didn't even know that they were following like the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, and they're posting, and they're, you know, posting numbers to call for, you know, racial injustice. So, you know, I think it would be good if somebody with a higher profile can just bring more awareness to it more than anything.
Hey guys, Irina Falcone here. Today we have WTA player Sachia Vickery sharing with us how she's staying motivated during this shutdown. Keep listening. So I remember I was watching your match against Garbiñe Muguruza a couple years ago at Indian Wells, and I'm sure you remember this.
Yes, the Wakanda Forever, yes.
Yeah, I just want to know what that means for you, and like where exactly. Obviously, I understand that it's from Black Panther, the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, what does that mean to you?
For me, honestly, I think at that time, because I think that's the first Marvel movie that they did with an all Black cast, and you know, I just thought it was so amazing. Like, it was just such a big, you know, just big progress. And I didn't plan on doing it. It was just something where I was watching the movie so much at the time, and I was just so amazed by it. And all of the athletes were, you know, posting stuff about it, and it just had such a positive reaction. I literally didn't think about it. And after the match, I was like, wait, this is my moment. Like, you know, I just, you know, let me take this moment while I have it. And I did, and I actually got a lot of positive feedback from it, you know. And then one of the actors in the movie, he actually contacted me, and he was like, that's so amazing, like that you're, you know, using this platform for what the movie stands for. So that's really all it was.
That's awesome.
I love that. I was there for that match too. I mean, that was a big win. She was number 3 in the world. Like, that was easily your best win. And that must have been like such an amazing feeling to get that on a big stage as well.
Yeah, it was. That was one of the kind of hurdles that I got over in my career. You know, I'd played a ton of top players before, and that was my first top 5 win. And, you know, that was an amazing year for me. That's when I was at my career high. So, you know, it was good. And it really, you know, I really proved a lot to myself, because I feel like tennis players, well, any athlete in general, you kind of have this, I want to say a little bit like a fear, like you feel like the top players, they have this, you know, this unbelievable game, and they have this, you're like, man, like, what do they have? Like, do they have like
secret sauce?
Yeah. What's this secret sauce? Like, what do these players have? And then it took that year for me to be like, okay, well, I'm competing with these players. You know, I have a top 5 win. I have a few top 20 wins. So, you know, why can't I be up there? Why can't I, you know, compete with these girls? So it really showed me that, you know, I have the level, and it was just about putting everything together on my side.
Did you do anything differently, like with your coach or on the court, anything differently like that? Or was it just purely mental for you?
For me, it was 100% mental. You know, I've had the same game pretty much my entire life, and obviously I'm always working to add stuff to my game. Even now, I'm changing stuff on my serve and I'm adding more. But for me, the biggest thing was just mental and the consistency. I feel like when I first came on tour, I didn't, I kind of expected it to just be like, I was a top junior, so boom, like I'm just gonna be like a top WTA player, and then that actually took me longer than I anticipated. Playing those lower level tournaments and going through injuries. So it was just kind of those things where I just had to go through my own path and my own process. And, even though it's taken a little bit longer, I'm still figuring things out and I'm still learning. So.
You were a phenomenal junior. I remember your name from when you were like 11 years old, like crazy young. You were a top 10 ITF, you were a US champion, like very highly touted. Did you ever consider the college route? And when did you decide to turn pro? Were you very, very young at this point? And how did that decision happen?
I always, since I was young, I just knew I wanted to be professional. It was just my dream. To even play a Grand Slam was just like the most unbelievable dream. So I knew that was definitely something I wanted to do. To be honest, I did think about college at one point, but growing up, my situation was a little bit different. I come from a single family home. My mom, she was working 3 jobs at one point to put me through tennis. And, we went through a lot of hard times, and I had to go through that to get to where I'm at now. But I think the biggest thing was I knew playing professional, I can make a career out of that a lot earlier. Like I knew I'd be making money and I knew I'd be able to support my family had I started that earlier. So as much as I wanted to start, as much as I've always, a lot of my friends they're in college and, they always tell me how amazing it is. And a part of me, it's like, man, like I wish I would have, taken that route. But I think at that stage in my life, I was, I had a bigger purpose, and that was to, play, and not just for myself, for my family. Well, yes, for myself, one, but, just for my family, and basically pay everyone back for the sacrifices they made for me.
So this is a question that I've been asking quite a few players, and you talked about how you were a junior player and you were a phenomenal junior player, and it took you a while to get into that pro life and, really cement yourself down.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of moments where you're going to feel like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I should quit.
I've had it. Trust me.
Yeah. We've all had it. We've all had it. We've all had moments of doubt. What makes you keep going? What makes you keep playing? Come out at like year after year and grind out and go travel to China and Asia and all these places. What's your why?
Yeah, honestly, I've had dark moments in my career, like everybody. I've had patches where I'm kind of like, man, is this something I really want to do? Do I just want to, do I just want to be happy and kind of just be like a regular person? And, I've had, oh my God, I can't even tell you how many times I've lost matches. I'm like, that's it. I quit. I'm done. I'm not touching the racket again. And like I keep coming back. And I think what's kind of worked for me in the past year or two, it's, I kind of think back to when I was younger, and I'm like, why did I start playing tennis? I started playing because I didn't think about anything extra. I just loved it. I loved picking up a tennis racket and I loved being on the court. So for me, in order to keep going, I had to find, okay, like, well, why am I doing this? And I think back to, okay, well, this is why. This is a sport I love, and I've wanted it since I was 5 years old. And I think back to me playing in my public park, just having an amazing time. And that's what helps me kind of stay mentally, under control.
How did your mom get you into tennis? Was it her, or was it your own natural progression? Because I understand that she's from Guyana.
Yeah.
She grew up there and then moved to Florida or America and then had you. Like, what was her step? Because that's really interesting.
Yeah. My mom, she actually came to America as an immigrant. She built everything from basically the bottom up. She's from a very poor country. In South America. And, she came here just looking for a better life. She wanted more opportunity. But ever since we were younger, we had such a great childhood. And I basically started playing tennis by complete accident. So I was at the store one day with my grandma, and I saw one of those like paddle volleyball kind of rackets. And I was like, oh, like, can you get that for me? And I got it. And I started hitting against the wall, like at my house. And I figured I got really good. Like after some time, I was like, wow, I have like good coordination, and I will never forget it. So I completely shattered my mom's bedroom window. She had like a massive bedroom window, and it completely shattered. And she still talks about it to this day. She's like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, how am I going to pay for this? She's like, I'm done. You're going to tennis lessons. you're going to go somewhere and play out in the open. And then that's literally how I started, by complete accident and disaster. So
that's like the cutest story I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then like
people don't believe it when I tell it, but it's literally true.
And then it turns into like literally one of the best juniors ever. Like it's incredible how people can come from anywhere and be so good at tennis. And I love that.
Of course. Yeah. It's, everybody is for everybody, and what's meant to be will be. So I've always taken that approach.
Girl, you're so mature.
Your mom must be so proud.
You speak. I'm like, I don't remember being this mature at 25. Was I?
I've taken growth. I've come a long way. It is, I've come a long way. Trust me, this is a practiced, kind of thing.
That's right. I mean, I think I've known you over 10 years now, because I saw you when you were just starting out, and I was starting out too. And I mean, you were killing it. And
it was.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Us 5'4" girls got to stick together.
We got to stick together.
Arena, you are not 5'4".
Fun size, we got to keep it together.
Arena,
I agree.
Arena's 5'3".
Yeah, I'm 5'4" on a good day.
I'm 5'3.5", but I round it to 5'4". So
that's what I'm talking about.
I do love that too, though. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone always talks about all these tall people. You guys are crushing it under 5'5".
Yeah, no, it's not easy, but hey, make it happen.
It can be done.
Absolutely.
All right, Sasha, look, this has been incredible. I really enjoyed talking with you. I know Irina has enjoyed catching up. It's been an honor.
So much fun.
Oh my God. No, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad anytime I have a chance to talk about, anything going on, any of these issues and outlook on the tour and all that. So I'm really happy.
Well, we appreciate you using your platform, social media, and hopefully this podcast to keep getting, people interested and informed. So thank you for that. And thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, guys.
From the Tennis Channel Podcast Network, this has been the Tennis.com podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay caught up. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every major listening app, as well as tennis.com/podcasts. You can also see the videos of our episodes on Tennis Channel's YouTube page and tennis.com's Facebook page. We're your hosts, Nina Pantic and Irina Falcone. We'd like to thank our team, editor and audio designer and video editor Christina Koseva, producers Alexa March and Sean O'Malley, and executive producers Shelby Coleman, Kyle Einhorn, and Andy Chu.